Hey gang, happy Homebrew Wednesday. I'm going to do a little update on a bunch of my stuff, beer related things, and while I'm doing that I am going to be drinking Hattrick364 Brown Ale. Smoke coming out, I don't know if you saw that or not. Now I'm not going to do a complete tasting on this one, I'm just going to kind of be drinking this. It's been sitting around for quite a while now, and I very much want to drink it. Again, this was bottled with the Blackman beer gun by Hattrick from a keg, which would explain the head there. I know that these all had much better head when he first was pouring them out of this keg. I saw in his videos. Smells delicious. Very very strong forward nose of like caramel. It reminds me of one of the nut browns that I did early on. This is probably an English brown, or I think on here it just says brown. I think it was an English brown, though I misplaced the sheet that he sent with these beers. Yeah, that's good. Nice little hit of bitterness on the back. Forward flavor of the specialty grains. Really good. I'll talk about that a little more as I go on here, but happy Homebrew Wednesday. I want to talk a little about my homebrew for the Homebrew Wednesday video. On 4th of July I did my brew, my first all grain brew. Told you guys about that. Gave you the rundown. Excuse me. Now the beer was transported to my brother's house because he has a basement that stays pretty cool. So we pitched at 70 degrees, and then he had to put the bucket in his car, and he had to go pick up food and stuff for his fiance and him. And by the time he got back, he said the temperature gauge, the fermentator thermometer thing, was off. It was so hot that it was off the grid, basically. I forget what that goes up to, but he said it got pretty hot. I'm thinking he was only out for no more than an hour. I'm thinking that was probably just surface temperature of the bucket, more than likely. But by the time he got it to his house, he put it in the basement, and by that night he said it had dropped back down to 70, and then and fermentation didn't start yet. And then by the next morning, fermentation had begun, and it was 68 degrees, and it's been a steady 68 degrees since then. So my hope is that that little fluctuation in temperature when it got a little hot is, obviously it didn't kill any yeast, so it didn't get hot enough to kill yeast, but my hope is that the fermentation didn't actually start until it went back down to around the 68 degree range, which would be perfect. I believe the London ESB 1968 the London ESB 1968, I believe the fermentation range was 65 to 72, if I'm not mistaken. So 68 would be right in the middle, and a good place to be. So that's fermenting. We're gonna dry hop next weekend, so in about a week or so we're gonna put 1 ounce of Cascade pellet hops right into the primary in a sanitized grain bag. Gonna leave that for another week, at which point we'll bottle. So that'll give it probably that'll be about like maybe a 2.5 weeks altogether for fermentation, primary, dry hopping, and everything, which should be fine. I kind of want this. It's a pale ale, if you don't remember. I kind of want to get it in the bottle and then drink it not too long after that, so that we get a lot of that hop aroma and flavor that we're shooting for. And again, that was Bruin and Kewen's recipe that I used for like a Mirror Pondish ale. Good beer, Hattrick. You're really got your process down pretty well. Hattrick, by the time you see this video, Hattrick may or may not have posted his tastings of my cream ale and a couple other my beers I sent him. He did mention in some comments that I was just reading that there may or may not, that he may have actually tasted some off flavors in it. And he likened it to a cream ale that he brewed with well water. So I'm interested to see what he says in that video. And maybe I can try to make some changes to my water in order to get a better brew. As I was looking through, I downloaded this easy water calculator spreadsheet thing. I believe Stumpy Joe Jr. may have put it on his site, or that's probably not right. Bobby from New Jersey? Maybe it was him. I can't remember. But I got that worksheet and I plugged in the numbers that I got from my water test. And like I said in my water test analysis video, there was no abundance of any particular mineral that would cause off flavors. However, there were deficiencies in calcium, magnesium, and sulfate. All those minerals were very low in my water test. So they were all underneath the required range that most beers and ales that you would want. So I'm not really sure if a deficiency in a mineral could cause an off flavor, or if that would simply make mashing not as efficient. Because I don't know that, I can't say whether or not those deficiencies would have caused off flavors in my cream ale or not. But it's something that I am planning on playing around with when I'm doing my all grain brews from now on. So this pale ale I just used the well water as is, because I'm not very good. It was my first all grain. I wanted to get processed down a little before I started adding things to the water. But I am going to start adding like gypsum and some other stuff to try to fix the water for future brews and see if that helps get me better efficiency and better flavors in my beer. Let's see, other updates. My honey kolsch and my nut brown are both going to be going into their third week of bottle priming by next weekend, so I'll probably be tasting those for the first time next week or the week after. The next beer on deck is going to be a Dunkelweizen, and I have all the ingredients for that. It's just a matter of finding time to brew it, because that's going to be another all grain. That'll be our second all grain brew, and I'm not sure, it might be a couple weeks before I have time to do that. And I'm also writing a recipe for my End of the World Ale. The End of the World Ale is a recipe I'm creating to celebrate the release of my debut novel, Soundtrack to the End of the World. So it has nothing to really do with the whole 2012 Mayan calendar thing. It's not about that. It's more about my novel being Soundtrack to the End of the World, so my End of the World Ale. I did a couple of Facebook polls to ask people what style of beer it should be, and the winning style was stout, which I was happy about because it's being a black beer, I thought kind of meshes well with the whole End of the World thing. And then I did another poll asking for people's opinions on the style of stout, what kind of stout I should make. Here I had a lot of different answers. There was no definitive winner, although I'm kind of leaning towards an Imperial Cherry Chocolate Stout. So an Imperial Cherry Chocolate Stout, the End of the World Ale. I got one comment that said cherry chocolate doesn't sound like the end of the world, it sounds like end of dinner. So I'm not sure, but I kind of like the cherries, kind of, not that you'd see that red color in the beer, it still would be a black beer, but that, red and black kind of idea. I don't know. That's kind of what I was leaning towards. What do you guys think? Should I do a chocolate cherry stout, imperial chocolate cherry stouts? There's just a standard stout, imperial stout, oatmeal stout, chocolate stout, coffee stout, espresso stout, milk stout. I mean, there's a million choices here. What do you think? And along those same lines, if you want to help me to write this recipe, why don't you post some comments? Let me know, good base malts that you think I should use for it. Maybe good specialty grains that would go well. Other flavorings, particular yeast that might be fun to play with for this. I kind of want this to be a beer that will age well. Since it is celebrating the release of my novel, I think it would be really cool to have the ability to leave some bottles around for a year, 2 years, 3 years, let them develop, kind of take one out maybe every year around the anniversary of when my novel was released, and kind of have a celebratory drink, which is why I was leaning towards an imperial of some kind, because those would age well. But let me know what you think. I really would like to hear some opinions and comments on my end of the world ale. Make it a community effort. I've only ever written one beer recipe, and that was my Moon Hill pumpkin ale. So and as you can see, there's a little bit of a what's it called? Can't think of the word. I'll have a drink while I think. Pattern. Beer, thank you. Pattern emerging, where the beer that I'm creating, my recipes that I'm writing, the Welcome to Moon, or the Moon Hill Pumpkin Ale was related to my short story collection, Welcome to Moon Hill. The End of the World Ale, again, related to my novel, Soundtrack to the End of the World. So, a little pattern emerging, but, it's kind of like what I like to do. I'll probably relate all of my personal recipes, the ones that I write from scratch, will probably always be related to either something I wrote, horror, or Halloween. Again, this is the Horror and Homebrew web YouTube channel, so I'm always going to try to, incorporate those things a little bit. So, again, Hattrick, thank you very much for the beer. This is the last one. This is the last one I had of yours. I already drank your Hefeweizen as well as Bruin & Kuhn's Hefeweizen. I drank both of those together with my brother and the fiance, and my brother has that video on his computer, which is the only reason I haven't posted it yet, but that'll be coming soon. And Bruin & Kuhn, I just put your Bruin & Kuhn 77 for anyone who wants to subscribe, and Hattrick364 for anyone who wants to subscribe, just to make sure I get those correct YouTube channel names out there. But Bruin & Kuhn 77, I do have your IPA in the fridge that's chilling, and I will be getting to that very soon. I can't wait. Looked very nice in the bottle, nice and clear. So good. I also have some updates on my kombucha. I've already done a couple of gallons, had bottles of it, drank it, but I'm going to save that for another time. So, happy Homebrew Wednesday. Hope everyone's brewing is going well, and I'll catch you guys on the YouTube channel. See you later.